Nowadays I'm just coasting, trying to find myself, no longer worry about me, but my grandma's health. Waking up and every morning she be laying in bed, telling me she feel like shit if she ain't taking the meds. Like damn, maybe lately I've been way too stoned. My head is getting like the size of Jimmy Neutrons. All these people sleeping on me like a futon.
Hello. Welcome back to Chat with the Aggies, your favorite podcast out there, hopefully. We are coming back to you with another episode. This time we are going to be talking about finances. Great
That's
topic, right?
that
The
is
awkward silence is like, oh, financial things.
that's a scary topic to talk about
Mm-hmm.
in this world and in our heritage.
In our
It's
culture.
in our culture. It's such a taboo topic to talk
Yeah.
about because our parents obviously never talked to us about it. I'm not
Right.
sure if any you other Latinos out there or anyone,
Anyone listening?
anyone listening that their parents ever talked to them about finances. So it was
Yeah.
something that my parents never talked to me about. I'm not sure about yours. How about you?
Mine did, my mom did, but it was always about saving. Like it was we never were like poor in my child. I mean, as a child we were, as a toddler, but as I got a little bit older, we started having a little bit more money, but she never really taught me anything about money. It was just like a there's enough, but really there's don't ask for more, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's enough for the needs that we have, or the needs that we need to pay bills with or buy food, but
Yeah.
never anything else. Like you had to really save up a lot or save a long time to be able to do something
Yeah.
what we consider big.
Yeah. In I feel like in our culture, money is such a bad topic to talk
Mhm.
about because money is kind of demonized in our culture. Money's bad, but also you have to have money for everything in this world.
Mhm.
You can't survive in this world unless you have money. You have to pay the bills. You have to pay for gas. You have to pay for food. You have to
Yeah.
make money to be able to survive. But seems like in our culture, the money is demonized. It's like you're rich, you think you're uppity. Or you're rich, or you think you're better than everyone. Or you're rich, you think you can just get away with anything. So it's
Mhm.
demonized in our culture because we tend to put ourselves in positions where we don't make the money that rich people make, and we keep that same mentality that we always have of, okay, we just got to go to work 9 to 5 and work hard and work overtime and pay the bills and save money.
Mhm.
But if you think about it, like, when did our parents save money? Never. They tell us save money, save money, save
Yeah.
money, save money. But nowadays that's not even enough anymore.
No,
Just
unfortunately.
saving money is not enough anymore. You have
Unfortunately.
to learn how to invest your money to make that money work for you.
Yeah.
So it's savings is not enough anymore. Savings is good for, like, oh, it's a rainy day. Hey, my tire got flat. Cool.
Yeah.
I do have that $500 in the savings.
Yeah.
Let's go fix those tires. So you don't have that problem. Oh God, now I can't go to work because I don't have money to pay for the tires. But that's the taboo about our culture, that the money and wealth is demonized a lot of times.
And we have a very scarce mentality around money. It's like there's never enough, like that relationship with money is very, very limited. The amount of money you have, it's very limited. So when you give it out, it's like, oh, there's a very hard
Oh,
thing.
I had that.
Yeah. And I did
I
too.
had that.
I did too. It's like, ooh, if I
I, I
pay this or do this.
I think it's that poor mentality.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
I think we talked about it before of like, when you come from a poor life and you're always poor, you never had what everyone else had. You had to struggle for the next meal.
Yeah.
And like, when you start making money and you start seeing that in your bank, you'd never want to let it go. You're like, oh
Hmm.
my God, it grew to 1,000. Never gonna spend on anything because I want to keep it there. And that was me years ago. Remember that?
Hmm.
Never want to spend money on anything because look at our bank account.
Lord,
There's a
do I
big
remember?
and that was a big battle between
Yeah.
us in a relationship, because once my bank account was there, it was I never wanted to use that money for anything, even if, like, there was something nice that you wanted.
Hmm.
You wanted something nice, but I was like, well, if this one costs $20 less money than
Yes.
what this one does,
Yes.
which is smart in some things to do,
Right. Right.
but I would never want to pay that extra dollar to get something nice,
Yeah.
because in my mind is like, well, my money's going to run out.
Yeah.
My money's not going to be there anymore. And because when you're poor, you're thinking like, once I get it, I'm never going to let it go. Like, and you
Hmm.
grip it and you never want to let it go and you lose. And you're also not investing that money in anything that makes you money at all.
Yeah.
So the money's just sitting there, not making you no more money,
Mhm.
and you're also not enjoying the money, which I learned the hard way
Yeah.
through a lot of fights and struggles with you because obviously there's a spender and a saver in every relationship.
There is, and they marry each other.
Imagine if two spenders married each
Ooh.
other.
Ooh.
That'd be a broke family.
I hope they're making a lot, a
I,
lot, a lot
ho-
of money.
I hope, yeah, I hope you, if you're in a relationship and both of you are spenders, I hope you guys are hustlers and
For
making
sure.
a lot of money. Ooh-wee.
And hopefully investing it and being smart with it as well. Spending it, but being smart with it as well.
Right, right.
No, but I think that whole relationship with money, it was a battle for me, for you. I think for a lot of our listeners, I know it's hard that never having enough or feeling like if we pay something or spend that money, it's not going to come back to us. There's also the other side of emotional spending, right? You
Hmm.
spend when you feel sad. A lot of the times, I remember I would do it. People I see on social media, retail therapy. Let's go get
Yeah,
my nails done. Let's get my hair done. Let's go shopping and spend all this money that we don't have, but it's going to make us feel good in that moment. So let me just spend on whatever I want.
yeah,
And I used to do that a lot.
yeah.
I That was a big problem for me. It
Right,
was, and I think because you restrained me in so many ways of like, no, we're not going to spend money on that. That's dumb. Like, why would you buy that? Or why would you spend something on something so expensive when it wasn't? But I think when I had the money, I was like, well, I want to buy this. So I'm going to spend it, or I'm going to go all out and get, whatever I want. So I wasn't really being smart with my money because I felt like, well, I'll show you, but I think it does. It's something that is so quote quote normalized in our society where
yeah,
go spend the money. Go, yes, of course. Obviously, I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. Obviously, yes, you should, but I think so many of us do it from the wrong place.
right,
And when you don't have a good relationship with your money, you spend it on things that you just want instead of a need.
right. That's a lot of the problem, I guess.
Mhm.
Everybody just, oh, that looks cool. Let me get
Mhm.
it. And you absolutely don't need it. You probably 80% of things you buy, you probably use it for the first week, 2 weeks, and then that object is the magic goes away. The magic goes away. You probably use it once in the next 5 years, and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, cool. I
Yeah.
just spent $200 on that. I'm never going to use it again.
Yeah.
So like you have to be smart with what you use. Like if you really enjoy doing something or paying for something, then yeah, enjoy your money that way.
Mhm.
But just don't scroll through Amazon at night and
Yeah.
just hey, I just spent $300 on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that shiny object syndrome. I think that's what it's called, where you see that new shiny thing
Right,
or it's in your face because of social media or friends or people around or the status quo that
yeah.
you want to
That
maintain.
influencer's wearing this. I need to get
Mhm.
it.
The status quo that you want to look like this certain way. It's like it gives you that dopamine hit.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go buy it. I don't need it and I don't have the money for it,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna look like really cool in it.
Right.
Or look
No,
like
for
I,
sure.
have it so that I can seem or maybe feel that fuel that void or fill that void that we don't have a good relationship with our money.
Yeah, and it's good to have a good relationship with
Mm.
money yourself before you start in a relationship with someone else and
Yeah.
start becoming more serious with the relationship with someone else,
Yeah.
because once you get together, then money can be a problem in a relationship if both of you are not prepared to talk about it or be okay to be restricted on certain things that you were so used to doing.
Mm.
And I think when we and you got together, like we learned the hard way to communicate what we needed to do and what our goals were and what our restrictions at times.
Mm.
And there could be a lot of fights,
Yeah.
about money in relationship. And if you don't have those goals knocked down, then it could be a problem.
And we had to have those conversations
Yeah.
many, many times where you had to sit me down and be like, look, these are the numbers.
Yeah.
Here's what we're paying. This is where our money is going. And I think that was also very eye opening for me to realize like money doesn't just grow on trees.
Yeah, all you queens out there
Yeah.
think that just like Just go make some more. Don't you just go in the room and get
Right.
it?
But I think that was a big wake up call for me, like learning how and where our money was going, our expenses, or how expensive, we were living. Like we know sometimes we think like the more money I'm going to make, the easier things are going to be,
Right.
but the more money you spend.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
having that, just those numbers in my face, you putting these things down, telling me like, look, this is where this is going. This is what we're spending. This is what we need to pay, this is what we need to save to be able to like go on that trip that you want and actually
Yeah.
go all out if you want to go on that trip. So I had to learn to really navigate, is this a want? Is this a need? And is there really something that I'm going to, am I going to regret this?
Yeah.
Right. Like you said, am I just wanting it for for that week, for that, couple of days,
Right.
shiny syndrome object, or shiny object syndrome? Or can I wait and not spend that money until I go on that trip
Yeah.
or to, buy whatever else I actually needed or wanted.
Right.
So that was
Yeah.
I think that was a great lesson for me and I continue to learn.
Right. Right. Because I think obviously we talked about there's always a spender and there's always a saver in the relationship, and the saver I feel always has to suffer in trying to control the spender, and the
Mhm.
spender suffers in a different way. Like,
Yeah.
but just let me fly, just let me do whatever I want. Like, why can we buy this? Why can we buy that? And the spender is usually the one that's kind of like the financial brain behind the whole household,
Mhm.
the saver, and if the spender and the saver are not in the same boat, then there will be problems in your relationship. So
Absolutely.
the communication about spending is humongous in a relationship.
Very much needed, and a topic that I don't think a lot of people actually do have those conversations, or if they do, they don't communicate well. A lot of the struggles, that my clients face are financial struggles in their marriages, in their relationships, or just as single mothers.
Yeah,
It's hard, and not knowing how to be financially smart, because I don't think many of us get taught. You just learn, you just become an adult, and now you
yeah,
have to
you
know
learn
how
through the
to,
struggle. Yeah,
yeah, now you have to know how to pay these bills and save and invest. And it's like, wait, I'm just
right.
now getting out into the real world, finding a job, still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And
Yeah,
now I have to know all these different things. But
yeah. I think there was a point in a relationship that sometimes earlier on that where, or even when I wasn't in a relationship with you, being a young adult, that where I was so reckless with my spending that you ever have that feeling of like, okay, I got paid and now I'm gonna do all this stuff and buy all this stuff,
mm-hmm.
and then you're afraid to look at that bank account and you're like, oh man, I don't want to look. I don't want
Oh
to
yeah.
look. It hurts. It's gonna hurt. And
Yeah.
then you look and you're like, crap. Why did I do it? You feel
Mm-hmm.
that guilt.
Mm-hmm.
You feel that guilt. You're like, oh man. And then imagine you having that habit and then going in a relationship with someone else.
Yeah.
And now that problem became the
Our
family's problem,
right, our problem.
and then you don't know how to talk about it with your there was times that I would have anxiety bringing things up to you
Mhm.
because I didn't know how to communicate it with you,
Yeah.
and then it became a problem. It became a huge problem, and then it was a fight, and then now I had to like, how do I tell her this? How do I tell her that like we have like $20 in her bank account?
Yeah.
How do I tell her like she needs to stop spending the money? And then you would be like, but why?
Mm.
So it's like it's a big thing that you have to have your stuff in order, your mindset in order financially to be able to provide in the team.
Yeah, as a team, no, for sure. And I think that a lot of my challenges came from my struggles, like I said, in childhood, where and in college. I think it transferred over into college because when I was in college, I was working two jobs, paying my own apartment, my insurance, like I was paying my own bills. Not that it was a lot, but for me, it was a lot. And so I never had enough. I was always like scrapping for pennies and nickels and whatever I could get, $5 to put gas in my car. I remember I even would go and I would pawn some of my gold to have money to pay my bills
Yeah,
because I wasn't making enough because I wasn't good at managing it. And I was embarrassed to ask my mom for money. And I didn't know what I needed to change. What did I need to stop spending? What did I need to start doing to be better with
yeah,
my money? So the struggle came from, being a kid into teenage years, and then you become an adult, like I said, and going into college. It was like, yeah, I have to be an adult now. I have to be responsible. And I
Yeah.
wanted to prove myself that and to my mom that I was responsible, that I didn't need her, that I was independent, but
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. And then you being 10 years older than me, you already had a
Don't
lot
be
more
telling people that.
you had more experience in life and you had a career, and it was just a different world for me to enter,
Yeah.
because for me it was like, what do you mean we can't buy that? Like, you are the man of the house, you're supposed to say yes to me.
Yeah.
And which you did, but that also was detrimental, and I think that's where our fights also would stem from, because when you started saying no to me, I was like pushed back, like, what do you mean no? And that's when we had those conversations, like, Jessica, this is not working out, because here's the numbers, here's where we're spending this money,
Yeah.
and you need to be reasonable. And if we want to make more money, we want to save more money, we want to do more things, we want to stop living paycheck to paycheck, then we need to cut back on things that we are spending on and that we are not needed. So we need to both be on the same page of this.
Yeah. And until we both became like the same goal in mind. We
Hmm.
had the same goal in mind. We knew where we wanted to be,
Yep.
where we wanted to spend our money on. And after you have that settled in, like everything's automatic after
Hmm.
that, like sometimes we don't even look in our accounts for
Yeah.
weeks and
Oh,
things are automatic,
yeah.
bills are being paid automatically. We know how much money we're playing with every week, every month, and we know where our spending limits are, that we don't have to be like, oh, are we going to make it this week? Are we going to do
Yeah.
that next week? Oh my God, can we do that again? And then once you and your partner become one and
Hmm.
you have the same goal of, because when I'm not around, I don't know what you're going to be spending money on.
Yeah.
So if you already know what our goal is, you're not going to be out there spending all this money
Yeah.
or like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to buy it. And then I'm going to come home and be like, how can we have $5 in the account?
Yeah.
You're never going to be surprised by anything once we both are in the same page.
And I think that also goes into the next thing of like, our mindset had to be different with money.
Yeah.
The reality was we had to shift this mentality of scarcity and lack
Yeah.
and not having enough to unlimited. Like,
Right.
money is a thing. Money is a transaction that you it's a tool,
Right.
right? Money is not something that owns you. Something that
Right.
you have this terrible relationship with and you abuse it or you use it when you feel emotionally unstable. Like,
Right.
we had to really start looking at our finances and start talking about money in a much more positive way. We had to start building that relationship with money as if it was a thing, like I said, that we're grateful for. I'm
Right.
grateful to be paying this bill. I'm grateful because I have the money to spend, like you said, on a different tire, on a new tire. Like,
Yeah.
looking at the way we spent our money or the way we talked about money definitely helped really build that relationship with money.
Yeah, and I think that's where I changed. I
Yeah,
mean, you changed in a way
100%.
of, okay, I won't spend as much, but I changed in a way of, cool. Why do we need $10,000 in our savings when it's just sitting there?
Yeah.
Let's invest it.
Yeah.
Let's get a loan and use this money to make a down payment or do something, then and start another business or do something. And like just gonna share the story. Last year, with all the money that we had saved, we ended up buying a second home to turn it into Airbnb.
Mm.
And the anxiety that that gave
Yeah.
me, I was, it gave me, I already have a skin issue, and that really made it even worse. You remember, I was just like
It was
anxiety
bad.
mode because
Mhm.
first of all, I had to use all the money that we had saved.
Mhm.
Second of all, I was obtaining more debt,
Yeah.
which I hate that. And you know that. And then for years, we were like, well, we don't need to buy that. We don't need to buy that. Like, well, that's
Mhm.
for long. Like, no, we don't. If we don't have cash for it, we won't buy it.
Yeah.
I had that mentality, which for some people that works, but for us, it was just like, okay, we just have money sitting there. What do we do with it?
Yeah.
And getting another loan, having that other debt, gave me bad anxiety, which I have worked through it. And now that house is making its own payment and making us plus money. So that
Mhm.
works for that money that we invested is making us more money. So it's making it work for me instead of just sitting in the bank. So and that's the mentality that I changed for myself. And now that made me shift my mentality. And now I'm not afraid of the debt anymore.
Mhm.
I'm obtain more debt to continue to make more money, and that's the way that I feel some of us Latinos need to start thinking about it. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of Latinos out there that are entrepreneurs for sure. Just sharing that story to tell people like That is not always bad.
Oh.
That could be a good thing to make more money for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're getting that to just purchase something that's going to lose its value,
Yeah.
yes, that's bad. But if you're going out there and buying a business, buying another home, buying something that's going to make you more money, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, take the risk and change that mentality of like, oh, money's bad. Why do I want to be rich? It's not about being rich. It's about gaining some wealth to take your time back.
Yeah.
You know, instead of having to go clock in somewhere, you're making money on your own.
And money gives you so much more freedom, right? Like it gives you freedom to be able to give to someone else,
Right,
to be able to let somebody else borrow money
right,
who's struggling and needs it, or to, put it into things that are going to in the future be beneficial for your children, for your
right,
parents. I mean, because I think when we first started this whole, like you said, the casita and everything, it was like we were looking at it as a future return of investment, right? Like
right,
when spending this money or getting these loans, like we weren't looking at it as in right now. We were
right,
looking at it in long term.
right. Long
This
term
is
for
not
sure.
going to give us fruition. It's not going to give us the money right away,
Right.
but it will in the future. And I think
Yes.
that's what the biggest lesson was for both of us, is that like, yes, right now it feels hard, but the longer that we wait, the more we keep, avoiding this, then we're never going to really step into it and know what it's going to do for us. But it's okay that it's not going to give us money right now.
Right.
It's going to be for the long term. It's going to be a return of investment for the future, for our
Exactly.
children.
Exactly. All these investments that I mean, I'm already 43 years old. I mean, for me to be a millionaire is going to take some years, and I'm already going to be old.
Hey, they say that
You know.
what is it, 61 or 60s are millionaires or something.
Yeah. You make your first million at
Yeah,
the year
yeah,
at this your
at
60th
60.
year,
Hmm.
which then I'm in the right on track.
You're
Then
right on track.
you have to look at investments for the long run. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going to become a millionaire overnight. You can become wealthy with time
Hmm.
invested into your business to kind of have that freedom not to have to clock in
Yeah.
somewhere, and gain that time back to
Yeah.
spend time with your family. You know, entrepreneurs do spend a lot of time with their business, but it's something they love doing, something they create doing. And if you're starting a business, start a business that you love doing, something that you
Hmm.
have a passion for, and that will just give you wealth back with happiness.
Yeah.
And in the long run, you're gonna invest in yourself. You're not making someone else's company richer.
And I also think of it in this way too, like the money we invested in La Casita, again, for example, it didn't come back right away, right? But the reviews that we got, the memories people made,
Yeah,
that was honestly incredible to be able
yeah,
to read people's reviews of what an
yeah,
incredible weekend, what a memorable weekend, what a memorable week, what they
yeah,
did and how much they enjoyed it. And like just the feedback that we
yeah,
got from them was so satisfying. Like it just felt so good to know like
yeah,
we have a house for people and their little family to come and enjoy, to come and vacation, to get away, for a couple to spend time together,
yeah,
to celebrate, to be in the community, or I'm sorry, in town, to be able to see their sick parents. Like,
yeah,
what an honor it is that we get to be chosen. Our casita gets to be chosen as the place where people come spend time like that. And that's what like kept fueling that, aside from the money, I was like, okay, whatever. But like that is what kept my heart just fueled with,
yeah,
wow, we did the right decision. This was the best decision because I saw what it did. And it reminded me of me and our kids. Like when we go somewhere and we have the opportunity to share memories and do things with our kids that maybe we didn't get to as kids, they are now doing it. And it's
yeah.
like, I now get to provide that. We get to now provide that for families, for couples, for people who come. And
Right.
that was honestly, I think, what just felt so abundantly amazing.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that you just said. Like whenever you create something in the entrepreneurial world, that way you create a business or you create a product, you create a space like an Airbnb
Mhm.
that people enjoy and love it, and then they leave you a review. Like as corny as it might sound, to some people, or as small as our little house could, might be to someone, but it's a big deal to us because we created that space, and we put
Yeah.
our life savings on it,
Yeah.
and we put our time on it or risk. So when someone leaves a simple review like, "Oh my god, I loved it. I'm gonna recommend it. Thank you so much for letting us stay here. It was a
Yep.
great memory." It's a big deal to us. It's a huge deal for us
Yeah.
because we created that. It took time and sweat and risk and all of that,
Yeah.
and it's a big deal. It's a big deal to take that risk of shifting my whole mindset on this whole thing and the anxiety that I went through and the push that you had to give me on this. Like I said, it might sound corny to some people, but it's a big deal when you create something and then they leave you a great review like that and it
Hmm.
makes you feel good. You're like, oh heck yeah,
Because you see the return of like your labor, like you said, your fear. Like, imagine if I would have never stepped into that fear, I would never have been able to meet these people or
yeah,
even hear this type of feedback or be able to give people this experience. Like, when we hold ourselves back,
yeah,
we stop ourselves from seeing or doing or living a life that we don't even imagine. Like, I didn't even realize how impactful that would be for me to read like every review that comes in. It's like, wow.
yeah,
It's a big deal, like you said, because like we did put a lot of work, we put a lot of time into it. And I think we stop ourselves so much, the fear of, like you said, the debt, the how am I going to do this, or it's going to take time, or I'm not going to get back the money, or this or that. We stop ourselves with those thoughts instead of leaning into them and thinking like, let's do it and see what
yeah,
happens. Let's put the work in it. Let's put the love in it. Let's put the
mm-hmm,
time and effort and see what comes from this.
yeah,
And if it doesn't work out in that part or in that time, what else can we do with it? Because it's
right,
not the end of the world.
yeah,
There's always solutions. There's always ways that you can go about it. If it didn't work this way, the end goal doesn't change. Sometimes we might need to shift things around, but the end goal does not change.
yeah. And like once you get past that mindset, like I know people talk about oh mindset, whatever. But truly, like once you get past your mindset and what your restrictions, what we talk about, your
Limiting beliefs.
limited beliefs, like my limited belief was if I use this money, I will never have it again.
Mhm.
We had thousands of dollars in the bank, and in my mindset, it's like if I use this money, I will never gain it again. It's going to take me forever to gain it back. And what if it fails?
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Mhm.
Those were my beliefs. Like debt's bad. Getting wealthy is the devil.
Mhm.
Debt is horrible.
Money doesn't grow on
Yeah, money
trees.
doesn't grow on trees, and if it's there, why are you throwing? Why are you throwing
Throwing
it
it
here?
away, yeah. Yeah. You
Like
gotta work really hard.
that was my limited belief
Yeah.
that I had to get past. You helped me get past it by saying like switching it. Like, what if it does really good? I had a friend that recommended this house. He's in the Airbnb business.
Yeah.
That was someone that helped me that got put into my path.
Yeah.
He was telling me like this is a great spot, and you were telling me like if he's saying it's a great spot, why don't you believe him?
Mhm.
What's holding you back? And it was just my own limited beliefs
Yeah.
holding me back
Yeah.
on it. And right now it's still successful. We've had it for a year, and it's a
Oh,
successful little
I
house,
could see
you
that.
know, and is now it's going to start making us money back,
Yeah.
from the investment that we make originally. So that was my
Yeah.
limited belief that I had to get past, and I hope that people that are listening to us is they take that risk and change their mindset and grow with it
Yeah.
and face it and go to it.
And if you remember, I don't remember know if you remember, but there were many times where we were like, how are we going to pay for X, Y, and Z?
Yeah,
Or this is what we have in the account and this is what's got to come out. And God would always provide.
yeah, you're right.
Like, just thinking about it makes me emotional because I
Hmm.
remember when we were living paycheck to paycheck and it was hard. And we were like, how are we going to pay for that? And then we would get a check in the mail for $1,000
Yeah,
or more. And it was so beautiful because it's like God would always bring us those blessings in the moments that we
for
least
sure,
expected them.
for
And
sure,
it was a reminder to me to always go back to that. You always provide for me no matter what. You always show up when I need you the most. That's what I had to lean on to every time that I was afraid of not having enough money. It was like, Lord, there's moments where I didn't have much, but somehow, some way, you deposited some
yeah,
$20 in my account, or a check came through, or you
yeah,
got extra hours to work, or something. My little business made a little extra few $100 during that time, and it was just that's what I had to keep going back to. Like, you always provide for me, Lord. No
He did.
matter what, you always come through.
He does. He always provided, and I do remember those moments where, like I had worked overtime 2 months ago and I still hadn't got paid,
Yeah.
and like, man, we're down to our last dollar,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden that check hit. You're like, oh
Yeah.
my god,
Yeah.
I just got paid.
Oh,
And like, how did you know, Lord, that we were gonna need this money?
Serious.
That's
And those are the moments, and I think that you as a listener, really tune into that. Pay attention.
yeah,
Even if it's $5 that somebody paid for something for you, or you got an extra 25-cent raise, whatever that might be, as little as that might seem,
yeah,
take it and be like, yep, this is where my abundance continues to build on. Yes,
yes,
this is what I am meant to live and to experience, is more abundance. This is going to help me little by little continue to build my wealth, not because I'm greedy, but because I believe that God always provides in abundance, and
yes.
I don't want to struggle anymore. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to be grateful for it, because it's coming even more, 7 times, 10 times more.
I know.
And or give, when you give someone, there's
Hmm.
homeless people that I've given money to, or at church, or go funds, I'm
Yeah,
like, hey, I got an extra $25, whatever. I would do it. I would
yeah,
send that money, 20, $10, whatever I could give, I would send it and just be like, here, I have it. And it's like God would return it every
yeah,
time, multiplied it. And I would receive it with so much gratitude and say, thank you. Thank you for
yeah,
this. Thank you for allowing me to give, even if it's $5. Thank you,
yeah,
because it would come back multiplied. And
yes,
not sometimes, not just even the money part, but like the freedom part.
yeah,
The gratitude that people were appreciative of me being able to do that for them.
right.
And that is what continues to fuel me, or what continued to help me realize, like, money is a tool, money is a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's be grateful for it.
No, for sure. And sometimes when you do give, like you give, and God might not multiply it back in money at the moment,
Mhm.
but he might multiply it to you by another job opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, like you are a giver, you are good to people, so I'm gonna open a bigger door for you.
Oh my gosh,
And you
yes.
you pay attention to that, pay attention to that and take that, open the door and walk through it. So on the other side is a great opportunity to make more money,
Mhm.
and you're gonna get more opportunities to give back because
Mhm.
God is gonna put you in a position to give back,
It's so
and He's
true.
gonna test you, be like, hey, I gave you a better job,
Yeah.
better paying job, better hours, you're making more money.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your money?
Mhm.
And He's gonna
Yep.
put you in a position to someone in need,
Mhm.
use it.
Yep.
Use it.
Yep. He does, cuz when he does put you there, he does give you the opportunities. He
Yeah.
does show up, like you said. He's now hoping that,
Yeah.
or just kind of waiting and seeing, like, what are you
What are
going to
you
do
gonna do?
with it?
Yeah.
Where are you going to actually put it?
Right.
If you say you really want these things, you want
Hmm.
this, but you want to be this person, are you really willing to put the sacrifice, the time, the effort to do
Right.
it
Right. And
when
if
you need to the most?
if you have the mentality that I had of, but my money's in the savings. If I give it to someone else, what am I gonna have? That's the wrong mentality you have. So
Yeah.
like, cool, invest it, make more money, and give it to someone that needs it. I mean, obviously not all of it because you're gonna reinvest your money, but when someone asks you, they're in need, help out.
And I don't think it's the wrong mentality. I think it's our trauma. We
Yeah.
grow up with that trauma of
Right.
lack, of scarcity, of poverty, of not enough, and the survival state, like,
Right.
that's really what it is. And once you realize that money is an abundance,
Yeah.
and it comes in so many ways, shapes, and forms, and you build your relationship with money, it changes your whole life,
Right.
because, like I said, it comes when you least expect it. It shows up in so many different ways, where you can give to somebody else, you can do for somebody else, and it's like God just continues to provide opportunities every time when
Yeah.
you learn to build your financial relationship.
Yeah, that's a big thing. You
I
gotta
think
just
that's
gotta have a
huge.
different relationship with money. And I know you used to tell me that, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I'm good with money. I'm a great saver.
Yeah.
Like save. Look at our bank account. There's savings in there. Cool. Like it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's just money.
And I would be so scared to spend money, when I would go do something, not because you would get mad, but because I was starting to believe that mentality that you had.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, the bank account is going down. Oh my gosh, we're down to like the last, X, Y, and Z. Why did I spend that money? I really don't need this." And so my
Yeah.
mind started racing. My mind would start feeling guilty for spending 20
Yeah.
bucks on me or whatever it
Right.
might be on something dumb,
Right.
or I started really thinking like in a mentality where it was lacking, or a small mind where I started to feed off of your energy. And I was like, "Oh no." And I would tell the kids like, "No, we can't because this." And that was the one thing I always told myself. I don't want to talk to my kids like that. I don't want to
Yeah.
use the words we don't have enough money.
Yeah.
I don't want to say we don't have money for that. I don't want to say get cheap stuff. Like I
Right.
don't want to use those words, or money grows on doesn't grow on trees. I
Yeah.
wanted to stay away from that
Right.
because I wanted my children to know that money is just a tool,
Yeah.
that no matter what, money will come and go, and use different verbiage, use
Yeah.
different words. Like when we didn't have the money to buy anything or to buy what they wanted, I would just be like, "You know what? At this moment, not right now, but we can come back and get it a different day.
Yeah.
These are the things we're going to get groceries for right now, or
Right.
these are the things we're buying right now." Or, "Hey, remember we bought you this the other day? We can come back, on another weekend and then get it." But I
Right.
tried to use different words for the kids to never feel like, "Wait, we don't have money?
Yeah.
Oh
We're
my gosh,
poor.
we're
Like
poor."
yeah, we don't have
And
that
and when
money.
and when pops would say something, or when he does, or he not anymore, but he made comments like, "So we don't have money? So we don't have money?" I'm like, "Yeah, we have money. It's just let's be smart with our money.
Yeah.
Let's make good choices with our money."
Yeah.
And that's what I want them to know. And he even we were shopping a few months ago, and he even was like, "Mom, do you need that or do you want that?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right, babe." So he starts to see that as well, and I want both of them to see that. That's why I
Yeah.
always tell them like it's abundant. Money is abundant. Things are abundant. If you have money, baby, go give it to that person if they ask for it. Give
Yeah.
someone a gift if you know they need it.
Yeah.
It feels so good to be able to do that.
And I think once you get with your partner and you both have a plan of where your finances need to be, and those are in order, everything's paid, or savings is met, or bills are met, and there's plenty of more there, or events or investments are made, and we still have money left, is
Yep.
when you can get those wants. Oh, cool. Yeah, I have $100 left over. I already met my savings, my investments, bills are paid. Cool. Yeah, I
Yep.
can go get that after all of those other things are met, and make sure that you have that plan with your wife or your husband. Have that talk maybe once a month, maybe three
Mhm.
times a year,
Mhm.
3 times a year, 4 times, however it takes, because you can steer off that plan. So
Yeah,
however
absolutely.
long it takes for you guys to sit down and figure it out, and it's going to take some time. And once you figure that out, those wants are going to come around more often
They
because
are.
everything's going to be in order. You're not in survival mode looking at the bank account like,
Mhm.
oh, how much did we spend today?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're way over our budget, and
Yeah.
now I can't get what I want
Yeah.
because we are trying to put holes somewhere. Like, oh, we need this,
Mhm.
we need that, we need that. So that's probably the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. No, it's true. You definitely have to make sure that you do talk about these things. These are important, very important topics to talk about. Excuse me, my throat. But these aren't topics to talk about often. I mean, I think for like a year, you and I would sit down, I think once or twice a month on Sundays, and talk about our
Yeah.
financial goals. We would sit
Hmm.
down and look at our budget, look at our checks that were coming in, look at where we were at, and talk about, okay, here's what we're doing. This is what our numbers look like.
Yeah.
Here's where our expenses are. And that I think helped a lot to really get us on the same page,
Yeah.
to really get us to understand like we have a goal in mind.
Yeah.
And if we have a goal in mind, there's things that we're going to have to sacrifice, there's things that we're going to have to do differently, there's things that we're going to have to change in order for us to reach that goal.
Yeah.
And everything just started flowing, like you said, differently, better. And you really just you felt it. You felt the difference. And now we don't have, I mean, we do have conversations, but we don't have those fights or arguments
Yeah.
because we're not in that mentality of like, what are we gonna do? we
Right.
have no money, or we're
Right.
down to our last $10 for the next 2 weeks until our next paycheck. Like that feeling was the worst. And I don't ever want to go back there. And I don't ever want us to, go there, or for our kids to ever have to experience that.
Yeah, and like you said, there was many times, many months and years of fights
Mhm.
because of financial
Yeah.
problems, and until we both realized what both of our problems were and faced it and
Yep.
realized we have to have one goal, and that goal has to be between both of us. And after that, things started flowing. It took years too, and we can still continue to be better
Yeah.
every day.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like we have it figured out.
No,
That's
no,
We're
no.
not saying we have it figured out, but it's become easier, and we haven't had an argument with money in years, and we talk about money in a different way of investing it,
Yep.
of how can we make it grow for
Yep.
us, and or bills are already paid. We don't even think about that because they're automatically paid every month, and or savings is already filled with money every week. And those moments we don't have to talk about it because we put them automatic,
Yeah.
automatic. So all of those, so whatever money is left on our bank account is for whatever we want,
Yeah.
or for
Yeah.
what we want. So it's easier. Life become easier when you do those things, so you don't have to talk about those fights.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like making adjustments here and
Tuning.
there, tuning
Yeah.
in, fine
Yep.
tuning every month, every week. Like, you know what? Yeah, I just spent the extra coffee.
Yeah.
That was dumb cool. But
Okay. Well, now,
there was
yeah.
plenty of money there, but I could have not,
No,
So you're just
it's
fine
true.
tuning things in there. So
Yeah, it's very true. I think that's the most important thing is have those conversations,
mm-hmm.
stick together to a plan, have a goal in mind, stick to that plan, stick to that
Mm-hmm.
goal, and do what you can for a short period of time. Like,
Yes,
do the sacrifices now. Like they say, do what people are not willing to do so you can live like people are not willing to or wanting to live. You have to work through the sacrifices for some time to be able to live differently. I'm not
yes,
saying live in survival. Maybe it needs to be for a short period of time, right? Maybe you need to live off of bread and eggs for a little while. And then,
yeah,
hey, if it means that's going to save you some money, or if you're not going to have your coffee and your nails, like do your nails at home, whatever it might be,
yeah,
start looking at things that you can change differently so you can start living differently
yeah, correct.
and live a life. And like Victor said, we are still working through that. We're still fine tuning things, but we are no longer where we were 5, 10 years ago, thank God. And I'm so excited for the future. If this is
Yeah,
where we're at right now, it's only going to get better.
yeah,
And that's the mentality that I think we all need to continue to have is okay, if this is where I'm at now. I can't imagine what it's going to be like in the next 5 years, 10 years. This is exciting. Don't look at your future as, or don't live in the present moment as like this is your life forever.
yeah,
And look at your future like what in the world am I going to do if I have kids if you don't have any right now, or how would I even handle this, or how buying a house, that's not reality for me. Like start looking at your life in a more positive, optimistic way. Start
yeah,
getting excited for what you can have because you can.
right.
If you want your business to grow, start looking at it and yes, it's going to be abundant. Start envisioning it, feeling it, living it, embodying that. That's how we make our dreams a reality.
No, exactly, exactly. Thinking big, thinking
Mhm.
bigger, and understanding that money is a tool that you can use it to work for you.
Yeah.
Work for you. And if you're struggling with money out there right now, and you're struggling to, paycheck to paycheck, just know that it's not the end.
Mhm.
Not the end. Look at your life and see what you're doing, and see and change it. Like how just I shared my story of how I changed my mindset. And I'm excited to what else I can do, and I wish I would have changed my mindset years ago because I could be more or where I want to be now.
Yeah.
So change your mindset, make sacrifices to every day, little ones at least,
Yeah. Yeah.
until it becomes a habit, and then you can add another habit to
Yeah.
it. Okay, I changed my mindset in this way a little. Maybe I'm not spending Starbucks every day. Change that little thing,
Mhm.
you know, and
Mhm.
then I haven't bought Starbucks in a month. I don't even like Starbucks anymore, and now you saved $150 that month.
Or have Starbucks on a Friday.
Yeah,
If
maybe
that's like
just
your end of the
yeah,
week, that's what I would do. I
yeah,
know I was like, "Dang it, I want some coffee or I want to do some little shopping here and there." Don't limit yourself either
yeah,
to
right,
like
okay,
extremes,
yeah,
because I think that's also a very hard thing to go through when you're
right,
like, "Well, I can't have anything
yeah,
because
no,
I'm
yeah,
trying."
don't do that.
Like but treat yourself to getting your coffee or getting
Yeah.
that
Make that a
cute.
reward at the end of the week. Like
Exactly.
I did so good
Yeah.
all week. I can have one on Sunday. I'm gonna take me a nice drive to the Starbucks store and get me a
Yeah.
nice coffee.
Yeah, go to Friday
Right.
morning. That's what I would do when I was working at my my jobs. Like I would go and okay, Friday mornings are my treat, or every other Friday, when I would get paid, like this is for me. Pay yourself too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's the biggest thing is like again, reward yourself, have a different mindset because I think what also I was just thinking about is like when you started that transition of going into the mentality of like, okay, debt is not as bad as I thought it was, or it's not a bad thing, depending on what kind of debt it is.
Yeah.
I think we also started surrounding ourselves with more people who have reached bigger goals.
Yeah, you're right. I
Like
didn't
we
think
started
about that.
attending seminars, we started listening to podcasts, we started really looking at people's lives or hearing people's life stories and how they lost millions of dollars, how
Yeah.
they were super poor and broke and like where they're at now. And it's like, that's what I think really started shifting in your mind of like, damn, they lost $1 million
Yeah.
and they're now a millionaire. Like,
Right.
what? So for
Yeah.
you, I think that was a huge like aha moment to
Yeah.
really think about like, well, geez, if they can do, that, then how come I'm so scared of taking this little small step, which seemed big for you, not that
Yeah.
I'm minimizing it, but
No, you're right. No.
it was a little step compared to what they had gone through and it's like
Yeah.
if I want to get there, then I have to start taking risks.
No, absolutely. And you're right. I didn't think about that. And I didn't realize that until you said it, that once my mindset shifted, we have gravitated towards other people that are kind of like thinking in that way of make money work for you, either by listening to more podcasts of these people and going to seminars of people, entrepreneur people that are like when you said it the other day, it's like, man, we walked to that seminar, people, and people were saying like, yeah, I own like 20 apartment complexes, or I own a condo,
Yeah.
like 20 condos, and these
Yeah.
people like are making millions of dollars, and
Mhm.
we're in the same room with them, and we're like, holy crap, are we in the right room? But they tell their stories, and like the guy that owns the company that we go to for these
Mhm.
seminars, and he's a multimillionaire,
Yep.
and he shares the story of how his first seminar that he went to, he invested his life savings into it, and not one person showed up.
Mhm.
They didn't sell one ticket, and he said he
Mhm.
lost $1 million on his first seminar. It's like, you lost $1 million on your first seminar.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I was on my knees crying backstage because we had invested on this, all these motivational speakers and all of this vendors and all of this, and not one person showed up.
Yeah.
And that like dropped my jaw. I'm like, holy
Mhm.
moly, dude! You just spent all that money, and but he said is like, all I did was I was already on my knees, and I asked God, like, God, this is what you want me to do, then I'm gonna continue doing it.
Yeah.
And he shares the story of how his business has been around for 2 years, and now he's gonna make like 16 million this year. I was like, wow.
Yep.
He could have quit right after that. He's like, you know
Yes.
what? Screw it. I'm like, this is not for me.
And that's what makes people successful versus unsuccessful people,
Yeah.
right? And not, I mean, everybody has a different definition of success, and we're not saying that because he's a millionaire that
Right.
he's successful. But what I'm saying is that's what the difference between those who really want it, are
Yeah.
persistent, they persevere, they don't give up, they lean into their purpose. Because this seminar or this company that we're talking about, they're very Christian
Yes.
faith based.
Yes.
So for him, it's like this is his purpose. This is what God was calling him to do. And just because it failed, just because it didn't go as planned, just because it didn't come out how he had hoped,
Yeah.
he didn't give up. He risks a lot and he continues to risk a lot.
Yeah.
But that's what makes someone different than those who stay in the comfort zone.
Right.
That's what makes dreamers and risk
Mm-hmm.
takers different than those who just live in the I'm content in this little
Yeah.
spot, which is if that's what you want to do, that's how you want to live, then kudos to you. But I think if you want to live a greater, more purposeful life, then you have to take risks. You
Right.
have to go out there and do things that are scary and hard to make you put you in rooms and make you realize there's more to life than what I'm living, than how I'm
Yeah.
living, than what I'm thinking. So put yourself in rooms where you think you don't belong because you do. And then you realize, like, if they can do it, I can do it.
That's the mentality that we're shifting to.
Yep.
In big rooms, in tables where
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys have a crap load of zeros in their bank account than me.
Hmm.
But guess what? I'm gonna learn from them.
Yep.
I'm gonna pick their brain. I'm gonna see how they did it. I'm gonna learn from their failures. I'm gonna learn what they did wrong because
Yep.
I'm sure they'll people love talk about themselves. So I'm sure they're gonna tell me what they did wrong. So
Exactly.
I'm gonna pick their brains.
And that's
And
the mentality as Latinos, as everyone we should, but I think as Latinos, more than anything, we need to gravitate towards. We see
yeah,
someone successful, we see someone who's doing better than us. Let's ask them. Let's
yeah,
learn from them.
right.
Let's go and be like, wow, this is incredible.
How'd you
Like,
do it,
how did you
man?
do this?
Like, first of all, great job.
Yeah.
But second of all,
How?
how?
Talk to me.
I want to learn.
Yes.
Instead of like a lot of us Latinos, like we have them like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
he's
Se
he
cree
think ya se
mucho,
cree mucho. He already has a lot of
too
money. Look at his
much.
car. Ooh,
He thinks he's all that. He
right.
doesn't
Like,
even remember where he came from, or
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
she know she was this? And it's like, oh, people can't grow. I'm
yeah.
sorry that you're still stuck in the same mentality.
Right, right, right.
You
Like,
can grow too if you want, but that's not you
it's like I
something you
could show
want.
you how to
Yeah.
make an extra $1,000 a month if you want, but if you don't want to, stay where you're at.
Exactly.
You know,
But
that's what
that's small minded mentality.
we got to change that for sure.
We do. We do. And I think I love when people ask me questions. Jessica, when is the next Cotejos and Cafecito? When
Right.
is the next event? Like, Jessica, do you have a good book? Do you have a good podcast? Do you know who? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. I
Yeah,
love that. Like,
yeah.
ask me
That's
because it's
exciting.
so, it means that you're hungry. It
Yeah,
means that you have that calling of like God made you for more.
yeah.
So now you're seeking that. You're going and gravitating towards that, which is so amazing. So I love it when people ask me questions, and I love to ask questions from people that are doing better than I am. I love, even if it sounds like a dumb question, I'm like, I don't care. I want to
Yeah.
learn. I want to know because obviously what you're doing is working. So
Hmm.
I'd love to reach that mentality, or I'd love to know what it's like to experience
And
that.
and you know what I've learned about those successful people? The majority of them are always willing to tell you,
Always.
always willing to tell you their story,
Always.
and they're like, "Oh, you actually want to learn about it? Yeah,
Yep.
sure. Sit down. Like, you want to have a beer? You want to have some coffee? I can
Yep.
meet you. You know, they're always willing to help you. You know, that's what I learned about
That is so
most of
true.
those people. They're always willing to share because. I mean, I'm sure not all of them, but a majority of the people,
Majority.
majority of them are like, sure, yeah, let me tell you how I did it, or let me tell you what you should do. You
Yeah.
know, they're always willing to tell you if you ask.
So that's why go out there and go find people who are doing better than you, are in places that you want to be, learn from them. Invest in yourself.
So you're making.
Invest in yourself because you may not see the fruition at that moment, but you will see the transformation that it does to your mind, to your life, in the way that you think, in the way that you talk, in the way that you take risks. I mean, it just it turns you into a different person. It really does create this version of you that you've never met. And you're like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, that's
wow.
crazy when you say that. When you say it like that, because I don't recognize myself from 5 years ago. You know,
Mhm.
from 5 years ago, I don't recognize. I would tell that guy like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop being so scared. Just go do it." You know.
Because it turns out greater than you
Yeah.
even imagine.
Right.
So we hope that that is helpful. We want to just make sure that we try to bring you real life raw stories because we hope it resonates with you and that it creates a sense of curiosity and encouragement to either keep going with where you're at, or to take those risks to where you want to be. And this is coming from two people, hopefully, that you've kind of gotten to know us, but we're regular, normal people who are just striving to live a life that we never really knew was possible, but now we're dreaming bigger. We're giving our kids better. And these are the things we hope to inspire you to do as well.
You couldn't have said any better. I have no words after that.
So, thank you everyone so much for tuning into the podcast. We hope that it was helpful. Again, remember, if you're in a relationship or even just you as a solo parent, remember spender versus savers, right? Remember to have a goal in mind. Remember to talk about your goals often, talk about financial goals often, and have a plan together. Stay committed to making that plan happen and build your relationship with yourself. More importantly, build the relationship with yourself because that's the relationship you'll have with money, and invest in yourself. It is a gift that nobody can ever take that away from you. Investing in yourself is the gift that even if you don't have anything that you have materialistic things today, your mindset, you can build it right back up. You can get everything you have and more if you have the right mentality, if you invest in your personal development and your faith. Trusting in God has been truly one of the biggest parts of this whole journey is trust that God will provide because he always does.
Amen.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We hope it was helpful and we look forward to our next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Nowadays I'm just coasting, trying to find myself, no longer worried about me, but my grandma's health. Waking up and every morning she be laying in bed, telling me she feel like shit if she ain't taking the meds. Like damn, maybe lately I've been way too stoned. My head is getting like the size of Jimmy Neutrons. All these people sleeping on me like a futon, when really all these other rappers I could poop on. Yeah, I guess everything just takes time, and never will I let these hoes come and waste mine. Tell them not to ever cross me like a baseline.